Have you ever woken up every night and listened only to the darkness? In the silence of your home, even a single sound behind the wall keeps you on your toes. This is a true story from a row of houses in a quiet neighborhood. A common wall has become the doorway to a shared fear. By the end of the story, the idea of living alone will scare you more than ever. I will tell you an extraordinary horror story set in an ordinary neighborhood, a quiet, ordinary neighborhood of rows of houses in an unnamed city. It is a neighborhood where people greet each other and go on their way, where children's voices echo on summer evenings, and it seems like a safe place to live. Sometimes ordinary places hide the darkest secrets. She lived alone. She was in her early 30s, very quiet, very much in her own way. She had just moved to the city and rented this small row house at a very reasonable price. The house was typical English style, 2-story with a basement, with adjoining houses, and most importantly, it was separated from the neighboring house by a thin brick wall. At first, everything was normal. In the morning, he drank his coffee and went to work. In the evening, he came home, read a book, and went to sleep. A few weeks after he moved in, he started to hear strange noises. At night, at exactly 2:13 a.m., a scraping sound coming from behind the wall, sometimes like something crawling. Sometimes a faint whisper with indistinguishable words. At first, he thought it was the natural sounds of an old house. Cracking plaster, rats, pipes. Someone already lived on the other side of the wall. They had never met, but she occasionally saw shadows hanging from his window. He was a quiet man. Sometimes he wouldn't come out for days, but then one day, on her way back from the market, she met him in front of the house. The man was looking with glazed eyes as if staring into space. He wasn't smiling. He didn't speak. She greeted him politely, and he only bowed his head slightly without taking his eyes off her. For some reason, she felt uneasy after this small encounter. And the next night, as she was about to go to bed, there were 3 sharp knocks from the other side of the wall. Knock, knock, knock. It was as if someone was punching the wall, as if to attract attention. The woman flinched, but she still suppressed herself. Maybe something fell against the wall. Maybe the lack of sleep had made her sensitive. But over time, things started to change. As she was going to work, she realized that he was watching her through the window. Such a look. Something stirred inside her, but she couldn't understand what it was. She found herself fixating on little things. The slightly damp mark on the doorknob. The letters in the mailbox that had been opened and resealed. At night, she woke up with a start and the clock. Always read the same time, 2:13. One night, the whisper coming from the wall was much clearer. It is as if someone had said, "I'm here. Very close." The woman screamed. She turned on the lamp. She searched the whole house. She checked the windows, the doors, but there was nothing. The next morning, he didn't show up for work. He pretended to be sick. And all day long he listened to the silence of the neighboring house. There was no sound. That night, she disappeared. When she didn't show up for work the next morning, her co-workers were alarmed. She didn't answer the phone. The police were called. Her house was in order. There were no signs of forced entry. Her belongings were in their places. But as they toured the house, they noticed that the door to the basement was ajar. There was a very faint, almost inaudible metal sound coming from downstairs. The police went down to the basement with their flashlights. Everything looked normal there, too. But one thing caught their attention. Part of the common wall looked as if it had just been built. The bricks were lighter in color than the others. The mortar was damp. When a policeman approached the wall and rubbed his hand on it, a brick fell. Behind him was a dark void. The sound coming from the void was clearer now, like the sound of a chainsaw. The policeman shone his flashlight into the hole, and at that moment, everyone's blood froze. The neighbor's basement, and in the middle of it, the man, he was dismembering her body, slow, mechanical, emotionless movements, one vomited. The other froze. They broke down the door and went to the other side. The man didn't try to escape. He didn't resist. He still had that meaningless, blank expression on his face. He didn't speak. The policeman handcuffed him and took him to the police station. He sat quietly in the back seat. He made no explanation, nor did he make eye contact. When they got to the police station, when they opened the door, he wasn't there, or rather, he wasn't alive. He had unbuckled his belt, tied it to the ceiling iron, and hanged himself, silently, without a trace. When the police returned to the house, they found other traces in other corners of the basement. Traces of dried blood, old women's. Things, in a notebook. Only this sentence was written in the notebook. The wall is between us, but now we are together. Today that house is still standing, but no one can stay for long, because at 2:13 a.m. at night, the sound of 3 knocks on the wall can still be heard. Knock, knock, knock. Based on a true story, this horrifying event shows how fragile our ordinary lives are. If you are interested in this kind of spooky stories, don't forget to follow the channel, like the video, and leave a comment. Have you ever had a strange neighbor? Tell us in the comments,